Welcome to the VS Criminal Defense Attorneys podcast, providing an informative resource on criminal law with a specific focus on sex crimes. From protecting yourself from false accusations to understanding the exact boundaries of the law, being informed is always the best first line of defense. This podcast series is reviewed and approved by attorney Michelle Villanueva-Scura.
In this podcast, we'll learn what are the potential penalties and consequences for sexual misconduct charges in Arizona. Sexual misconduct is a serious crime, whether it occurs in the workplace, at school, or in an interpersonal situation, such as on a date or when just hanging out with friends. If you are accused of sexual misconduct, it is important that you call an experienced Chandler sex crimes attorney right away to help you understand the charges against you and your legal actions. A vigorous defense could help clear you of the charges or reduce your penalties, both of which will help you to protect your future. The penalties for these crimes can be severe, and the non-legal penalties can follow you for many decades. A strong defense is your best chance to protect your quality of life long into the future. First, let's understand what are the probable charges for sexual misconduct in Arizona. Before you can figure out what kind of penalties you may face, you need to understand the charges against you, and your criminal defense lawyer will help you do that. Sexual misconduct charges can involve incidents in the workplace, and they can include charges of sexual assault, sexual harassment, or any behavior of a sexual nature that took place without the other person's consent. The severity of the behavior and the circumstances surrounding the incident will determine the charges that are levied, as well as the potential consequences. Sexual misconduct charges can also stem from situations involving a caregiver or person in authority, such as a doctor, a mental health therapist or counselor, a corrections officer, a public safety official, and so on. When a person is in a position of authority, such as a corrections officer or therapist, the issue of consent becomes more complex, and what some may consider consensual behavior can be ruled otherwise by the law. Always work with an experienced MESA sexual assault defense attorney to best understand the charges and how the circumstances could be interpreted by a judge or jury. Your attorney will help you understand how to mount the best defense through interpretation of the law, witness testimony, and more. Now, you need to know what are the penalties for sexual misconduct charges in Arizona. The penalties for sexual misconduct charges vary according to what the charges are. For example, if you are a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist who has been charged with sexual misconduct with a patient, you could be convicted of a Class 6 felony and sentenced to a year in prison and a fine of between $750 and $150,000. That's if it's your first conviction. The penalties for a corrections officer are more severe. They can be convicted of a Class 5 felony and sentenced to up to 2 years in prison and fined. If they are convicted of sexual misconduct with a minor, they are convicted of a Class 3 felony and can be sentenced to up to 3.5 years in prison and fined. Multiple convictions lead to more prison time. But the jail time and fines are just some of the penalties you can face. Depending on the charges, you could also be ordered to register as a sex offender, which will make it harder for you to get employment, rent an apartment, volunteer, and more. Even if you don't have to register as a sex offender, you will still have a criminal record that will make it hard for you to get future employment. You could even lose your professional license, making it impossible for you to ever practice in that profession again. Remember, it is always in your best interest to contact a sexual assault defense attorney in Arizona. If you are facing a sex crime allegation or charge, it is imperative that you speak to a MESA sex crimes lawyer. Sex crimes in Arizona are not only the most aggressively prosecuted crimes, but also the most heavily stigmatized. At VS Criminal Defense Attorneys, we understand that charges and mere allegations can destroy families and an individual's future. The most common mistake prior clients have made is believing that if you are not guilty and you cooperate with the police, they can clear up the mistake. Never speak to law enforcement without an attorney present. Your liberty and future may depend on your ability to remain silent. You must fight any charges of sexual misconduct aggressively if you are to protect your future. Call the sexual assault defense lawyers at VS Criminal Defense Attorneys today to learn more about your options. An Arizona criminal defense attorney from our team will help you understand the charges against you and all the potential penalties. Your criminal defense lawyer will then walk you through the options for dealing with the charges, including fighting them or negotiating them. We are committed to providing you with a strong legal defense to protect your rights and your future. We serve clients throughout the Phoenix Valley area, have the best criminal defense attorney team on your side. For a free, confidential, no-obligation case evaluation, contact VS Criminal Defense Attorneys today. Call us at 480-923-9001 or visit us online at vsattorney.com.
Thank you for listening to the VS Criminal Defense Attorneys podcast. VS Criminal Defense Attorneys are focused on offering clients personalized service and aggressive representation. Our attorneys are passionate about individual rights, government accountability, and personal freedom. No matter what you are charged with, our criminal defense attorneys will be there to guide you. Call today to schedule your strategy session. It is time to fight back.